What's good with you people? Dogysamich here. Another weekend went by. That means probably went to another tournament. And lo and behold, I took myself down to Alachua, Florida to see what was happening with the first event on the Plus 2 on Block Southeast Collaboration Series. Now, if you don't know what all that mumbo jumbo is about, the Southeast Collaboration is a league hosted by Data FGC where they will have four qualifying tournaments, if you will, throughout the Southeast region. First one was in Alachua, like I said. Next one's going to be somewhere in the Carolinas. They don't have that settled yet. And you see, third one's going to be in Mobile, Alabama. Fourth one, Knoxville, Tennessee. And the final, which is going to be a 2-day event, is going to be held somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll worry about that when we get to it, because, like I said, I just went to the first one because it's Monday, the 9th of March. I don't have the power to go in the future and tell you how this pans out. But I can tell you a decent amount of what happened in the past in the tournament that was hosted by Juicy Game Night and Duo Studios. Now, I'll point out one thing up front because I know some people are probably sitting here and wondering, I heard about this, but I didn't see a stream or anything. There were 3 crews there. Why didn't nobody stream it? So the venue, as nice as it was, and I guess I can segue into this. I didn't have this set up better. I need this one. The venue was actually a pretty nice venue. Very spacious. I didn't think to ask what this was. This looks like some tech office or some up and coming tech office, if you will. I don't know exactly what this was, but the kind of ironic thing with me saying that is the internet was not the greatest. So the plans for them is they local recorded everything that they ran on the stream, and the groups are going to rebroadcast their VODs at some point in time in the near future. If I can ever get a heads up of when, I'll let you know. Drop it in the link or in the description. Whenever the VODs actually go up on YouTube, I'll put them up there as well. So don't think that this is the only telling of anything that happened, especially since I didn't see half of it. But with that being said, let's take a walk through some of these brackets because some of them were pretty good, as small as they were. And I will say it was kind of small because it's around spring break time. Apparently, Alachua is a college city or college town. So a lot of people were gone. And I mean a lot of people. You're going to see some of these brackets be like, dang! But even with the few people who came, they were a very good example of it's not always about the numbers, but it's about the experience. So let's take a walk. And I'm just going to go down the brackets over here, and I'm going to skip the 2 events that were the big highlight for me, and I'll come back to them in the end. First one, Street Fighter, which wasn't finished. And since this is not finished, if you want to avoid a spoiler of who won this, go ahead and mute for a second, and when you see me click over here to Marvel, you can come back. But, yeah, you're pretty much looking at the results right here. I think they had a good bit of Street Fighter on stream. I was thinking they only did top 3, but they did like top 4-ish. Sia was over there holding it down with his guile. Sia got a good number of top 3s throughout the day, top 2s, top 3s. I have to say top 2s because some tournaments only had 3 people in it. Doing a pretty good job holding it down for Florida, defending against all the data squad. Even this guy down here, I don't know why he playing Street Fighter, but he did it. So that was it was pretty solid. Marvel, hey, you can come back now. By the way, Marvel, I find it kind of interesting to see this because there was a couple of people who played Marvel there, but it was just a data special. I will say that Chewy and Drew Terrius, aka Breakman, I know him as Breakman, they spent like the entire day over there playing Marvel. Jazz rap tagged in every now and then. Um, Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised they didn't even play this. Seeing as I don't see actual results, I just see entrants. But I will tell you for a fact that from the moment I walked in till the moment they shut everything down, there was a Marvel setup and at least two people over there. All right, now get ready for some skips. DOA 6, that didn't happen. Dengeki, this is kind of surprising to me, but that didn't happen. Rev, that didn't happen. Mortal Kombat, that didn't happen. Ultimate Doubles, that didn't happen. You'll see why in a second. Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur was pretty good to me. And it's pretty good to me because I keep up with Soul Calibur every now and then. I'm not going to say like I've been really on my P's and Q's about it and everything, but I make sure to not lose my, or not get completely rusty in it. So they had at the least the grand finals on screen. They had winners, losers, and grands. So I remember watching Cottonmouth and Tectal in both sets. They're pretty good. Cottonmouth chilling with his Yoshimitsu. Yoshi, one of them characters where it's like, if you don't play Yoshi, you probably don't know what's going on. And even if you do play him, there's a decent range of variety, decent range of playstyles that you can try to go for. So it was pretty amusing for me to watch. Grand Blue. Grand Blue was good. I mean, again, I say again. I keep cliff noting again. That's a catchphrase. Throwing it out there as the new kid on the block, if you will. So everybody's still trying to get their bearing straight with Grand Blue, get all their information, get their foundation as the Arc Revel Tour is starting very shortly, or it could have already started. I don't know exactly where it is. But yeah, Tectal was able to fend everybody off with his tiny terror Charlotta. Had a pretty good set with Jazz Rap in Grands. You see, it was I forget exactly how many games, but there was a reset. So I was chilling over there with MT for a while, doing some commentary. Big Broken Alliance, Argon Ross was trying to crack in the top two with his Vasaragan. Came pretty close, but close only counts in the horseshoes and hand grenades. I got to keep throwing bad puns out there. That was the entire weekend, like bad puns, old references, montages, catchphrases, stuff like that. Keeping up with status quo. So this is a pretty good set to look back through, or a pretty good top three to look back through. You get a lot of information from that. These are the two I'm going to skip. So let's go down here to Ultimate. Ultimate happened. There were 5 people. So I showed up a little late, right? Because I mean, I drove down myself, or by myself rather, the day of, and I think I got there about 1:50ish, which is about 20 minutes after they were supposed to start, or maybe 50. I forget. I forget if it was supposed to be 1 or 1:30. But basically, by the time I got in there, I got situated and I looked around. Smash was over. And that was surprising to me because under any circumstance, I want to say this is the smallest Smash tournament I've ever heard of. Which again, this was the direct cause and effect of a spring break weekend, or spring break week, however long the break is. But that was just really jarring for me to see. Well, to hear about. You get the point. Dragon Ball. So I didn't watch any Dragon Ball, and it's not because of the old Georgia meme, right? I just purely didn't watch it. But I will say that I do want to go back and check the VOD because there was a pretty interesting money match that was supposed to go down between Chewy and another guy from Florida named Chewy. And they did this on Juice's stream, I believe. I want to believe this is on the Juicy stream, where they did a money match, more specifically a name match, where the loser is supposed to change their name for a month. Now, for Data Chewy, that ain't nothing. He does that all the time. But for the other Chewy, for Chewy A, Chewy Prime, Chewy 1, I, I don't know about that. So, I'm pretty interested to see how that panned out. BB Tag, Tecto came out of his hole. There was like, yeah, Tecto came out of his hole. Next topic. Let me go back. Because I will point out, for interested parties, when he was on stream, he was playing Ruby S. Which I know S is pretty strong again. But I point that out because Tectal is one of the people who is highly sought out for, like in terms of information, in terms of footage, as a resource. But he's one that doesn't always make it to the locals for various reasons. So a lot of people tend to pay attention to him when he comes out. And BB Tag is one of the games as of late that he's really known for. So I'm just kind of throwing some light to the fact that he was there. He still looked pretty sharp. Yeah, he went out there and he did the thing. Under Night, and I clicked on this earlier. Yeah, Argon Ross. This doesn't surprise me. For what little bit I look at Under Night, this is the game that I know his name for. I'm assuming he still plays Walled. I didn't actually see it. I'm actually gonna go back and look at it. But yeah, this sounds about right. So the two games that I skipped over. First one being Sam's Show. And they streamed, Data streamed the entirety of Samurai Showdown. And it was a pretty good, pretty interesting, and pretty amusing 6-man bracket. And yes, it was a bracket. There were a lot of Charlottes. I think there were like 3 Charlottes, 3 Jubeis, an Argon Ross, because he played like 5 characters. Genjiro and Jubei. H Killer played a few characters. And Gear Falcon played Kyoshiro. Yeah, he played Kyoshiro. So the Georgia community, the Georgia Sam Show community, they already know about this result and why this happened. This was 2 Charlottes. But a lot of people are still in disbelief that this happened. And something that you have to realize is that this guy, well, he lost to 1 and 2, but he lost to Jose. Now, meeting Jose was very humorous to me. Because it was one of those, oh, really? That's who you are moments. So, this isn't actually Jose, all right? I don't know who Jose is. He didn't show up, but before the tournament started, so this wasn't like a last-second switcheroo or anything, they allowed this other guy to enter the tournament and take his place. And this other guy is Jeff, all right? Everybody introduced me to him as Jeff because I was walking around asking names, trying to actually be a good person for once and meet new people. I was like, all right, Jeff. And so Jeff was sitting down playing his first match with H Killer. And I'm sitting with Bates doing commentary. And I'm like, yeah, what can you tell me about Jeff? And the first thing out of his mouth is he says, yeah, that's the guy that runs Ronin Rumble. And immediately I'm like, yo, wait a second. That ain't Jeff. That's Jeff the Hero. That's that guy. Nobody's putting spec on his name, and that's that guy. Oh, man, I laughed so hard in my head. Because, I mean, yeah, if you know Samurai Showdown, if you've kept up with the happenings in the community, then One of the things that you should be somewhat familiar with is Ronin Rumble, which is a online weekly that happens every Sunday, I believe. I say I believe. I can't tell you this for a fact off the top of my head. I know it happens on the weekend. And yes, it was put together by Jeff himself. Streams it, does commentary, tries to get other people to do commentary with him. But it is like the big event that happens, the big frequent event. I had no clue where he was from. So to just, pull up in his side of the woods, his neck of the woods, it's like, yo, this is my house. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. And he made sure to defend his turf very well. I say defend his turf, but with the way he was playing, it was more of skirting around from corner to corner and picking apart anybody who tried to cross his path, or I guess bar his escape. Still trying to work on my phrases here. Because he played a very evasive and a very elusive Charlotte. And he was one that was nigh impossible to pin down. Like I was talking about this with Bates and Empty. Like if I had $1 for every time Jeff was able to get out of a corner, like I'd have covered gas for the weekend. No questions asked. Sia was pretty good. They were all good. Argon Ross was good. H Killer was good. Gear Falcon was good. Bates was aight. Bates was good. He would put a little information bubble next to his brackets if he could, but nah, they don't have that on Smash GG, man. But nah, it was a really, really, really cool 6-man bracket. So this leads me to this right here. Tekken 7. Why in the world would I leave Tekken 7 for last? Because of this top 3. I guess technically this top 4, because Cottonmouth was he was an innocent bystander. But this top 3. Alright. So, for anybody who's like never really talked to me about what I know of fighting games, what I keep up with, or hasn't really thumbed through these wrap-ups yet, I don't know a whole lot about Tekken. And then if you're asking me of Tekken outside of Georgia, I basically don't have an idea. But I can tell you that I've heard of King Ray and King Ray Jr., all right? I couldn't tell you a whole lot about them. I couldn't tell you characters. I literally couldn't tell you anything about. I've heard the names for quite some time. Can't even tell you how long. And so I know that they were 2 people that stuck out in my mind. You have the winners finals of Reflex, Broken Alliance Reflex, going against King Ray Jr. I shout out the sponsor. I actually don't know who the sponsor is. This is my fault. And Reflex, he Leroy's Ray Jr. All right. And so Ray Jr. is sitting here waiting in losers finals, and he has to wait for King Ray to go through Cottonmouth. This is where I got to fill you in with a little more information. King Ray is a King player. All right. King, if you don't know Tekken, is a grappler. What that means in 3D is that he has a lot of throws. A lot of throws. Chain throws as well. He has one really notorious throw where if you get hit by that throw, that's probably the end of your career as a bracket entrant. And King Ray, he hit that throw on Cottonmouth. A rolling death cradle. Yeah. And so, before losers finals, where King Ray had to play King Ray Jr., King Ray walked over to the commentary setup, and he said that he's going to try his best to beat Ray Jr. Because Ray Jr. has been getting the best of him lately, and he's tired of losing to him. Now, there's been a piece of information I've left out of this if you don't know who these two are. This isn't like a big brother, little brother scenario, all right? This is father son, all right? And King Ray, I'm not going to try to put a guesstimation on his age. I'd say about 30s. He says he's not going to do it, turns around, does it. But he's like, no, what you expect of a tournament goer, like a veteran tournament goer, right? Ray Jr., you can't convince me that he's older than like a middle school age kid. Like I was thinking fifth to seventh, somewhere around there, fifth grade, seventh grade. But you can't convince me that he is anywhere above middle school age, right? Young, focused kid, very young, focused kid, fire in his eyes, battle hardened, ready to catch anything stray floating in the air with his Asuka, right? And he sits down knowing that he's got to go against the guy that's literally going to drive him home. And you best believe that King Ray tried to death cradle his son. Ray Jr. take the crap out of that, told him to get out of here with that weak stuff. It was so good. All of it. That set was great. And then Ray Jr. had to go against Reflex again in grand finals. And Reflex, no, he wasn't taking him lightly. Reflex did say that he's played Ray Jr. quite a few times and was very familiar with him. But he didn't really pull any punches on him from what I know. It was more of his typical style. He started grand finals playing Paul. And he cited himself as a very disrespectful Paul, which worked for a bit, but didn't carry him throughout the entire set. So he eventually had to switch to Law, which in the interview I asked him, like, you started with Leroy in winners finals. You switched to Paul. He told me you switched to Paul so you can be very straightforward, blunt, and disrespectful. And I was like, so where did this Law come from? Why Law? He's like, well, that's my main. Oh. And with his main, Reflex was able to fend off the young King Ray Jr. Took a straight tournament. And that was the end of the Southeast collaboration. It was, again, a really small tournament. Excuse me. That was the end of the Florida Southeast collaboration. Let me get all the credentials out there because there's still more tournaments. But that was the end. After that, everybody was pretty quick to pack up. And they were out on the way. Photo gallery. Let's bring this over here because I stopped right here. Again, I don't know what this place was, but whatever work goes on here, there's somebody who has a lot of time to partake in some, I'm guessing this is sparkling water or something. Trust me, I realized this segue was very terrible, but I couldn't remember where this photo album was. Just work with me here. There were some cool things in here, like this antique telephone booth that was right behind the commentary couch. I don't know if you can really see it on stream. I guess on the VOD. You probably couldn't make out that it was a phone booth, but here it is. And over behind Juicy Station over here, there was this shelf that had the old ancient phone, like one of the first cameras or something, the old antique radio, so on and so forth. Yeah, it's a wider shot of the entire open space that was used. Had the data stream over here, Gear Falcon sitting here chilling. Had two projectors up the entire day. It's pretty cool. And this was a shot later on in the afternoon. Bates over here looking into the office. You'll see a shot of the office in a second. Empty and Chewy. Who else do I recognize here? It's the back of Jazz Rap. and that's Alex from Juicy. Alex, yes. I don't have anybody else. Who we got on the next one? Kara and Bates. So now I'm gonna say this kind of jokingly, but this is a theme that is probably gonna be here throughout the league. This is a side note for whoever's going to Perfect Clear next month at the end of April. But I'm pretty certain that when you walk in the door at any of these events, this woman is going to be sitting at the front at a desk with a spray bottle of alcohol and Clorox wipes, and she ain't letting you in the door until you sanitize yourself. Because, yeah, they were very serious of making sure to limit the possibility of corona as much as possible to make people feel better for coming out and, I guess, quote unquote, taking the risk, if you will. I mean, there was talk apparently of canceling the event because, you know, everything else has been getting canceled as of late. But data stopped and thought about it, and they were like, you know, it's not like anybody international is coming. All we got to do is, you know, try to remind everybody to wash their hands, give them the supplies to sanitize themselves, and, you know, just keep on. We can't just, like, completely break down, especially if the big threats or the big possibilities aren't really presenting themselves. Like, try to keep the heads up in trying times. I'm bad at motivational speeches. You get the point, though. The whole concept is they understand that corona is a problem and they're not ignoring it. Kill was over here sitting in the office. This is the office looking out in the front. I'm guessing these are solar panels. They look like solar panels. It was really weird from the road. But yeah, had all the space to himself for Breakman whenever he was sitting in there. Yeah, and this was the end where everybody was packing up and getting ready to leave. And all this was done by like 9:45 or 10. So it was a reasonably timed tournament. Again, there wasn't a lot of people to hold it up or anything. I think the biggest holdup was Tectel himself, since he was in top two. He was in grands of like 3 or 4 different events, so they had to shuffle him around like a hot commodity. But even with that, everything ran pretty smoothly. Who we got over here? Got Reflex, King Ray Jr., King Ray back there. It's Arsenal chilling all the way in the back, looking like the unlocked character, or the locked character. Yeah. I think I've covered everybody else. But yeah, that's it. That is the end of my wrap-up of the Southeast Collaboration Florida event. +2 on Block Southeast Collaboration Florida event. That was a joint product by Juicy Game Night, Duo Studios, and Data FGC. Alright, I ain't fluffing this up anymore. Thank you for your time. We up out of here. Peace.